to my series on the heroine's journey. I'm Susanna Liller, and it's time to find your happiness. In this video, we're going to talk about the abyss. And I would wager this is the hardest part of the whole heroine's journey, when we have to go here to a place in our lives during the journey. And the journey will bring up when this is time for this kind of a moment. When you go and start looking within, what's the work I have to do on me? Where have I gone off that doesn't really serve me anymore? What are the patterns, the habits, the beliefs that I have? Let me look at them and see if I need to make some changes. So the abyss in stories is always the character has to go into some dark cave or dark place or scary place and confront it. And often they have to confront it alone. And this is the work we have to do ourselves. It's our work, our inner work. And it's the most important work of all, because it's what really remolds us, really transforms us to look within. And so those characters in stories, examples, Dorothy, when the rubber meets the road for her, she's got to go confront that witch in the castle. And she's by herself. Her companions are outside. Eventually they come in, but she gets taken by those crazy, scary flying monkeys, and she has to go and confront the witch. And think about Bilbo Baggins in The Hobbit. And Gandalf comes and knocks on his door and let's go on an adventure. And initially things are great. They're all together. And then they get to the mines of Moria where the dwarves used to be, and Gandalf leaves. And there's Bilbo in this big dark place. Yes, the dwarves are there, but he is confronting his own stuff in that mine. And there's Luke Skywalker. And at the very end, he has to go and into the Death Star to destroy it. And he's alone, and he's done a lot of searching, and finally Obi-Wan Kenobi says, trust the Force, turn off your navigating equipment, and he goes. So much of this is about trusting yourself to know what you need to work on, and that it will guide you through and show you the places that you need to look at. But it's not easy work. It takes courage. And often there are places that we have purposefully repressed and shoved down and avoided or pretended they weren't there. Because why? We feel shame about them. We compare, which we should never do, but we do, and think we're the only ones that have this bad thing about us, or this bad thing that happened, and I can't tell anybody. So it's secrets. We also call this the shadow part of us, and we don't like to share the shadow with anybody. And there've been so many women that I have coached that have done this. It's usually something they did when they were younger, something happened to them. And of course, I have my own shadow stuff, but repressing it tends to just make it get bigger or cause problems. And so in my book, You Are a Heroine, one of the heroines that I talk about and share her story, Pamela, she was raped when she was a teenager. And she didn't tell anybody. She kept it as a secret, shoved it right down. So no one would ever know that this had happened. Because, of course, she blamed herself, and it just was something she needed to keep in the dark as part of her shadow. What happened to her was she became an actress. She was acting in a play where she was actually, and she thought she had gotten rid of this. Of course, we never get rid of it. It's always a part of us. And she thought she had gotten rid of it, wasn't worried to play the part of someone, a woman who had been raped. And she's practicing with the company, reading her lines. And all of a sudden, it just brought it all back for her. And she fell apart right there on the stage, sobbing, fell to her knees with the impact of it. It was really her story too. But what she says, and she has written a book about it called Dancing on the Head of a Pin, Pamela McCreary, she says it was the first step to her healing. She let it out. Another woman that I coached always had trouble with her voice, just always clearing her throat very consistently. And of course, as her coach, I asked, is there a problem? Do you have a cold? Does it hurt for you to talk to someone? No, I've always had this. I've always had it. And so as we do in coaching, you take a layer of the onion off and then another layer, another layer. She was able to tell me a story she had never told anybody before. And the story was about how she had an affair with a married man when she was young, probably 20 years old. And again, she blamed herself and thought that, this is not who I am, that I would do something like this. So much shame. And so she repressed it and repressed it, didn't talk about it, closed up her throat. She shared her story, and it got better. It was, again, the beginning of her healing. So much of this is looking to see, is there something? And again, I do believe that the journey brings it up for you at the right time. And you always have a choice. Nope, I don't want to think about that now. Never mind. You don't have to work with it. But if you choose to, beginning of healing for you in whatever arena this might be, if you're able to let it out. And this is what the deep work is about. And again, there are always people that can help you, a coach, a therapist, but it's necessary to go into the dark. Now, here's the other thing. You took the journey to change, to make a change in your life. You wanted to grow. You wanted to transform, or you wouldn't have accepted your calling. So these things will rise up purposefully to help you heal. And how good is that? How good is that this will come forward for you? So you always have a choice. You always will gain from this in one way or the other. It will show you that you have strength to deal with what's tough in your life. It will show you that you have the courage as well as the strength. It will give you more confidence. It will shine such a light on what you've kept in the dark. And it will help you to remember that all parts of you are beautiful. All parts of you, even the shadow, are worthy and beautiful, and most always got shoved where they got shoved because you misunderstood. it really wasn't your fault. Or if it was, we all make mistakes. It's okay. I remember one woman telling me another rape story about she had been raped and she was so ashamed of it. She could hardly bring herself to share it with me. When somebody like me, who's also had a rape experience in college, have heard these stories, you're not alone. You're not alone. And if we can share them with each other, then more of us will realize, oh, it's not just me. It wasn't that I was bad. And I wasn't bad. It wasn't all my fault. And I learned a lot from it. So I would encourage you to find somebody you trust if you have something like this and tell your story. And go into the abyss and trust that you have the strength to deal with what's ever there. And I bet it'll be a lot like what happened with Dorothy and what happened to these other women who, once they were able to speak it, like Pamela, began this amazing healing, gained so much in strength and wisdom and confidence. But like Dorothy, ends up throwing the pail of water on the witch, and there it goes. And it can be like that once you release these stories to the light of day. Take them out of the shadows. Stop keeping them as secret. Then they will dissipate. They will dissipate. So in the next video, we're going to talk about how we talk about what's in the abyss and who we find there. And that's the dragon. And we're going to talk about how to talk to the dragon, how to talk to these hard parts of you. It's really a coping way to cope with them and to help them be gone, to communicate with them. So we'll do that in the next video. But in the meantime, I hope that you will know that this is perfectly natural. We all have a shadow part of us. And it's a good thing and a courageous thing for heroines to examine what's in there and to see how you can shine the light on your shadow, which is beautiful, just like all of you is beautiful. Thank you for joining me on this particularly difficult series of videos where we've been dealing with the belly of the whale and the abyss and reminding ourselves that this journey is not all sweetness and light. It's not. But if you want to change, if you want to evolve, you've got to embrace this part of it too, because it's a given that you will face it, that you will come up against it. And you might want to go back to ordinary life and say, forget this journey business. And you know what? That's okay too. Timing is everything when you deal with this stuff. And you will know. You will know. And true calls never stop calling you. If you're meant to do something, be something, you will keep getting those nudges to do it. So you will, and it'll be good. And I will see you at the next video about the dragon. And I thank you so much, as always, for being here with me.